Hello everyone, welcome to this video about some really tasty 251 chords. Chords that you can play on 251s. And this video is going to be shorter than usual. I'm going to try to make it snappy. And I've chosen 4 combinations of chords or 4 different ways of playing a 251 that I just transcribed from recordings that I like. I heard this guitar player play these chords in their solos, or they were comping another solo player, and I was like, what are those chords? And I just stopped recording and transcribed it. And sometimes I had audio, sometimes I had video. I use whatever I can to transcribe those voicings. I got a question under another video. Somebody said, I'm very much puzzled by all those chords that the jazz players play. Sometimes it's one chord. The chart says one chord, but then they play 4 awesome chords, but what is the theory behind it? But I don't have a theory behind it. I just transcribe, because that's what I answered. I transcribe something I like, and then I just add that to my bag of tricks, so to say. I remember at a workshop somebody approached me and that saw me play the night before, said, I really like those chord solos that you did. Can you teach me how to do it? And I showed him some chords. I said, but how do you use them? What are you thinking? I'm not thinking anything. I'm just playing chords I know sound good. So I'm going to show you them. So the first one is one that I picked up from Dutch jazz guitar player Jesse van Ruller, who is very famous here in the Netherlands, but I think he's famous in the world for his amazing guitar playing. And I saw him play voicings where his thumb was far over the neck, and then I figured out that he was playing 2 notes with the thumb. So for F minor 7, I'm playing 2 5-1s in E flat. So F minor 7, B flat 7 to E flat. So the first voicing is this one, and it's a F minor 7 voicing with the thumb on 2 strings, right? And the chord says, I'm going to write down the chords for you, and you can see it on the screen right now. It says F minor 7. That's how I think about it. But if you want to be very specific, it has the 11 here. Now, if you cannot play this, then you can also just play, of course, this 4-note voicing and just leave out the bass notes. But then for the next chord, you definitely have to play the 2 bass notes here, because that's a great sound for B flat 7, and it has the flat 13 in it, and it has the E right here, but which would be the sharp 11. But I don't care about those things. It's just a great sound to go from this chord to this chord, or from this chord to this chord, and then just to standard E flat 6-9, and that's a nice forcing for E flat major 7. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4. And of course the rhythms, you can make up the rhythms yourself. Just play swinging rhythms, and you can do anything you want with these fours. You can shift them, you could play. Right, so I'm just taking those 3 basic voicings and I'm shifting them, approaching them chromatically from below or from above. It doesn't really matter, you could play. What? Right? Stuff like that. So let me play it with a backing track for you. And I'm just going to play it like twice or 3 times, and I'm just going to play it in different ways, but with these basic 3 shapes, or 4 shapes. Here we go. Whatever you can come up with. And also, of course, when you make these decisions, not about which chords to use, but about which rhythms, or if you're going to slide them, you got to listen to the energy in the band, listen to the solo player. If you are comping someone, is there room for you to do a lot of things, or do you have to be more calm? If it's more calm, you play long chords, or just maybe some rhythm that you repeat, like. or can it be more busy? And then, you know, you have more freedom. Okay, the next one is one that I learned of a recording of Peter Bernstein. And I think he uses it in his solo, but you can use it to comp someone. And it's these voicings. So the first one is F minor 6, right? Or it's B flat 7. But if you use it over F minor, the F minor chord, then it would be F minor 6 to F minor 7. The 11 is here, right? But it's just a great sound. Don't care too much. Don't think too much about the theory behind the chords. Because if you think too much about theory, I mean, this chord, I don't even know what the name of this chord is. I just saw him play it on screen, you know? It's just a nice sound. I mean, we could figure it out. So it's like, this would be an E. So then this would be E sus2 with a sharp 11. So, you know, you could say, oh, it's E sus2 with a sharp 11. And you already knew it because it was on the screen. And you could say, oh, it's a Lydian chord. But it's just too much information. Just remember that after these, this is just a great collection of chords to play in a row. This B flat, flat 13 to E flat, or to just let's keep it on the high 4 strings. So great sound. And you know what makes it great is this B flat that stays on top. Now, of course, if you begin to shift it, that effect will be kind of gone. Because if you start doing stuff like, but you don't have to do it, of course. But I mean, you can do it. Let's play with the backing track. You can play with this all you want. For example, the last time I was delaying all the chords, so I was still on B flat 13 when the rhythm guitar was already on E flat. And you can do those things. It's just create tension. You know, that's something else. You don't have to really. What you're doing when you're playing these kinds of chords is you're creating your own narrative with the chord progression that everybody's using. You don't have to see if the saxophone player that you're copying is playing a flat 13 in his solo lines. I mean, it's just it will go by too fast, and the other way around, it would be impossible for a saxophone player to catch all these chords. Now, it would be a shame if then you could never play this. If you think like that, if you think that the saxophone player has to play all the stuff that you play on the guitar, and vice versa, you will lock yourself into a really narrow realm of possibilities, because then there's not much you can do. So just, if you create your own strong narrative, your own strong line in the chords, and the saxophone player is creating his own strong lines, and the bass player is doing that, and the drummer is doing that, or the rhythm guitar, but you all will resolve to this one chord, then you will create great, interesting music. Just think of it as that. And if you watch great players play, you will see that that's what they're doing, right? They're trying to get the best out of their instruments, out of their parts, and everybody's doing that at the same time, and there may be clashes. That just makes the music more interesting. Everybody's playing the same song, they're playing the same chord progression, so everybody knows what's going on, and they will resolve at one point to a one chord. Okay, so the next one is also one by Peter Bernstein, and the 3 chords are this one for F minor 7, which is a typical quartal voicing. Again, there's an 11 in it again. So this one, and then, so you could debate what this is. You could say, well, he's just trying to shift to the E flat major 7 chromatically, and then he adds his color note. Or you could say it's like A flat minor 7, which would be a nice sound to play on B flat, because then you would get a flat 9 in there and a sus. But again, we don't care about that. It's just a great sound. And this 251 is really great to play your shifting chromatic approaches. That's also typical Peter Bernstein. He does that a lot in his solos, and when he's comping, he's just shifting all those chords around. And when you see him do that, you realize it would be impossible for a solo player to follow all of that. When he does stuff like that, it sounds great. It's a great sound. Of course, a bass player that's playing walking bass lines below it is not going to follow that, and that's not important. That's the sound in itself is great, and he knows when he's doing it, on what the chords are that he's doing it on. And the same goes for the bass player that's playing the bass line. So it will match, it will sound. So don't be afraid, just play in the 251. Don't worry about what the saxophone player or the trumpet player is doing. Let's play with the backing track. Great sound. Okay, the last one I'm going to show you is one by Lagerlund, and it's these 3 chords. So this will be for F minor 7, and I'm not playing the low C, because that's normal voicing, by the way, F minor 7, but I don't want to do that because I want to keep all the chords on the highest strings. Sorry. To this one. So here we have that E shape again, and then we add a sharp 9, so there would be something like E at sharp 9. You know, it's totally useless to know that. It's just a great sound to go from here to here, and then we go to really great major 7 chords, typical Lagerlund. Those are both E flat major 7. I use those all the time. It's so great. And on this last one, of course, there's no third, because it's E, F, D, but you could play the third here if you want to. Or just keep it like this. Also great voicing, this second one. There's it's both the 6 and the major 7, or the major 7 and the third are both in it. So this one I think is less useful to shift it, like you could do it, but it sounds to me more something like you would play with long chords. Let's try it. Yeah, this one is also tricky to shift because of the stretchy voicings. Now you got these four really great 2/5s, and of course you could mix and match. I just said that the combination of these voicings are great, and that's true. But of course, if you want to, you could mix and match. You could combine with the Lagerlund one by going. Or go right. You could combine everything, and be very creative, and that's your job, just to find the possibilities. But if you only would use these 4 and you would alternate between them, you would create really interesting sounds. And if people haven't seen this video, they will wonder where you got those. But when people ask me, where did you get those or how do you come up with those? So here's the thing, I don't come up with these. I took them from recordings I like. And I'm pretty sure that the people that are playing these voicings also took them from other guitar players or maybe from a piano player. This is a typical piano thing. Maybe Lagerlund saw a piano player play it, and then said, oh, that's great, I'm going to use that too. And when you see him use these chords behind a saxophone player, you can see that he's not trying to, you can see the way he's playing that he's trying to create the most interesting sounds from his instrument. He's not trying to accommodate the saxophone player with certain extensions, right? He's just trying to create a very nice harmonic sound of his own. And the saxophone player should do the same thing. And then together it will sound very interesting. Okay, I hope you can use these. I bet you can. And I'll see you all next time. Bye.